Well, good morning. Tennessee stays in the win column after a win over Oklahoma, a homecoming complete for Josh Heupel, Paige Dower alongside Jimmy Hyams. And this episode is also brought to you by Trey McAdams from State Farm Insurance out of the Clinton offices. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The brightest spot about this game, Jimmy, had to have been Tennessee's defense. We heard it all night long, and then you even kind of heard a little bit of that emotion come out from Josh Heupel, not only in the post-game press conference, but in the locker room as well, where he, again reemphasizes that this game wasn't about him. It was not a homecoming for him. But thank you for playing with a little bit more tonight, getting a little choked up. Nico Imaliava giving him the game ball afterwards in the locker room. Kind of just something that you and I had just talked about this whole time. He might not outwardly say that it means a lot, but we saw with that emotion and him getting choked up after the game, it meant a lot.
It did mean a lot to him. And as he pointed out, he said, look, this is about the journey of the 2024 football team, but I do appreciate them playing hard and bringing home a win. So, no doubt about it. He liked that. It was also very intriguing to me to watch Josh Heupel call a game like we have seldom seen at Tennessee. Toward the end of the first half, he got really conservative. I think he knew how good the defense was playing. I think he was bothered by Nico having a couple of stripped on sacks. Lost one on Tennessee's own 5-yard line.
Yeah.
Fortunately, they got the ball back on the next play. In fact, both fumbles, they got the ball back on the next play. But I think he got a little bit worried about that and felt like the only way Tennessee would lose this game would be if the offense gave Oklahoma a score or great field position. So he went conservative with his play calling. And I didn't think Nico played his best game, but Tennessee had struggled to run the football effectively. They were very poor on first downs. My goodness.
Yes. What was that stat you had about first downs?
They had 26 first down snaps, and they gained 52 yards.
Yeah.
2 yards of first down compared to like 13.5 yards in their season opener on first down. And about 16 of those 26 first down snaps, they gained 2 yards or less. This offense is built a lot around a productive first down and gaining momentum. And they seldom did that, in particular when they got the ball in great field position.
Yeah, and it was seldom because even in the post-game press conference, Heupel's like, I know we ran an offense that we don't really run, that you haven't really seen, and it was not the up-tempo offense that they had. They were really managing the clock, trying to get as much to run off, especially going into halftime, because at the time the game did, on the score, look close. It never really felt that close just because of how Tennessee's defense was playing. But you have to imagine that maybe that's a system that they'll want to implement as the season continues, or it's just to protect Nico because he didn't have his greatest game, although the pool that we can use is against inferior opponents. So really, what is the true Nico now that we're kind of into SEC play? When you look at his game, is it field awareness? Is it pocket awareness? He did have a sack on the blind side. The other one's just not being able to recognize pressure. For Nico to continue to grow, which of those areas do you think he needs most improvement in?
I think experience is the key there. And what you hit on is exactly what occurred. I don't think he saw the field well. He didn't see the pressure coming. He held the ball too long. And I think Heupel got a little bit spooked by that and decided, look, I'm going to put this in the hands of my defense, which is playing so well. And then they played so well on defense that Oklahoma benched the starting quarterback.
At home in the first half, which is insane.
Yeah. And so I think at that point, Heupel realized, okay, if we just play field position and don't turn it over, the defense is going to win this game. And as he said, they were absolutely awesome. And they were. It's as good a defensive performance as I've seen in a long time. They held Oklahoma to, 222 total yards?
Yeah.
Really shut them down. Didn't give up a touchdown until the fourth quarter. There was a part of me that wondered if Heupel went conservative a little bit too early. Because I'm thinking there's still time for Oklahoma to hit a big play here or there. And when you got down to the end with a minute left, they scored a touchdown. If they convert the 2-point conversion, then they get an onside kick. They could score again, get another 2-point conversion, you're in overtime. So I wonder a little bit about that. But it worked out in his favor. Will we see Tennessee do that again this year? Maybe. But I tend to doubt it.
Yeah.
But it could happen if they play Georgia.
Sure.
Now, Georgia's offense is a whole lot better than Oklahoma.
Yes.
and we went into that game knowing that Oklahoma had only averaged 325 total yards a game. They only scored 16 points against Houston. That's why my score prediction wasn't right, but I had it closer than
Than
most.
me, yeah.
Well, I had it 30-20.
Yeah.
And it was 25-15, so I had the margin, but the under was what I thought it would be under on the score. I just thought the defenses would play well, and I didn't see this explosion where Tennessee was going to score 40-something points. But it was a game unlike what we typically have seen. It reminded me a little bit of the Texas A&M game a year ago.
Sure.
When Tennessee won 20-13.
Yeah.
And that was because Milton was ineffective, and they were like, okay, we can't have him mess this game up.
Right.
So they went a little bit conservative with that. But look, you know what that game told me? It told me that they can win in a variety of ways.
Yes, it did. And I think when we were kind of talking about Nico's field awareness or, feeling pressure, especially when he's in the pocket, where does your concern lie with the offensive line? Lance heard the team probably spent their most time in the portal trying to get him to come to Tennessee. Here he is. He's injured, nicked up. Saw a lot of shifting on the line against Oklahoma. How much of a concern is it for you of the health and strength of the overall offensive line?
One of the concerns that I had about Tennessee going into the season, it wasn't the starters on the offensive line, it was the depth of the offensive line. And so they need to get hurt back. But what happened was they ended up starting a walk-on who's been there, it seems like 12 years,
Yes,
Dane Davis.
Yeah.
And so he starts, and then John Campbell gets hurt at the right tackle. Davis started at left tackle. Then they switched Dane Davis to right tackle. They put in Larry Johnson at left tackle.
Yeah.
The offensive line had difficulty. They did not block very well. They struggled a little bit. They didn't run the ball particularly effective consistently against Oklahoma. Now, let's say this. Oklahoma's got a very good defense. They're really good. They fly around to the football. They got good athletes. That's a real good defensive team. It's not a real good offensive team, but a really good defensive team. So I think Tennessee's offensive line needs to get healthy, because I think that game against Oklahoma showed that Tennessee doesn't have enough quality depth on the offensive line.
At Wallace Real Estate, trust is more than just a word. It's been our foundation since 1936. Whether you seek backyard adventures or a quiet spot for your morning coffee, we understand what makes a house a home. Our agents are here to simplify your home journey and to lead you through the process, whether buying or selling. With Wallace Real Estate, you're getting more than guidance. You're gaining a local partner dedicated to bringing your dreams to life. Start your real estate journey at wallacetn.com.
I do want to switch our attention to the Tennessee defense, because they set the tone early and often in this game, and really probably is what sealed the win for Tennessee. Starting out in the first quarter, it's Gerard McCoy having a solid tackle, forcing a fourth down, and then another punt for the Oklahoma Sooners. Finally getting to see the secondary. That's the question all season long. Saw them tested against a relatively decent offense in Oklahoma. What impressed you most about Gerard McCoy?
Well, that tackle and the interception he made. He's the best defensive back they've got from what I've seen. He is I don't know if I want to go lockdown corner, but he's pretty darn close to that.
Yeah.
He's a really good football player. So, and I thought the secondary played well. The overall defense played well. They held Oklahoma to 3 out of 15 on third down, something like that.
I think it was,
and the defense on third down this year has been incredible. They went into the game allowing 6 of 38 on third down conversions.
That's insane.
And they did a really good job against Oklahoma in that regard. So I thought the defensive line controlled the line of scrimmage. I thought they did a great job. I thought the linebackers played well. I thought Peely played well. There wasn't anything for me to take away from the defense that wasn't positive. I thought it was a great effort by them. One of my keys going in was to hold Jackson Arnold to less than 50 yards rushing. He was averaging 53 a game. The quarterback was the leading rusher, and they held him to minus 21.
Yeah, never had a chance to get on the positive after they took him out that early. Yeah, there was an interesting stat throughout the game. It was when Jackson Moy had his TFL. So it was any time that Oklahoma touched the ball at or behind the line of scrimmage, 16 of those 23 times it ended in a TFL.
Wasn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And I had said a couple of weeks ago, I thought that Tennessee's defensive line had 9 or 10 players that could be drafted at some point. I'm going to add another one. And it's not just Moy, because I already had him there.
Sure.
Jason Jenkins.
Okay.
I thought he was terrific.
Yeah, he had some really nice plays last night.
He had the tackle for a safety, which was a big play. He had other big plays. Number 97 showed up. He's got a lot of ability.
Yeah.
It just tells you how deep they are on the defensive line. Look, you could argue that Tennessee's had a better starting front four with first-round draft picks and so forth. I think you can argue this is the deepest defensive line that Tennessee's ever had. And when I say I'm talking about quality depth. I'm talking about the 9th and 10th guy could be an NFL draft pick.
Yeah, truly, throughout the entire game, regardless of who they were rotating, when they were rotating, the different combinations that they had out there, especially in that linebacker room, there was no drop-off. You could not tell if you didn't have a number on the jersey and they were all wearing sleeves, you wouldn't know that they switched a guy out there. Even Joshua Josephs finally was able to kind of have a game that also showed up in the box score. He kind of was in on that tackle, too, for the safety. I guess just overall, just how much does that build your confidence moving forward, right? Like we mentioned, Nico maybe didn't have his best game, couldn't really establish a run game, but you had a defense that was never going to give Oklahoma life in this game. How much confidence does that give you as you kind of go towards the rest of SEC play?
Tremendous confidence.
Yeah.
When you've got a defense that good, I am more convinced now than ever that Tennessee will be a college football playoff team.
Yeah.
I am also thinking that with the defense playing that well, I don't know that I could rule them out of playing for a national championship.
Wow.
I think the defense is that good. There's not a team on the schedule Tennessee can't beat, and that includes Alabama and includes Georgia. On the right day, if they play well and put it all together, this is a special group. This is a team that's got a chance to go a long way. And I've been very impressed with them. The defense is better than I thought it would be.
Yes.
The offense, you know, they were blowing out some bad teams, and then they go against a really good defense, and they don't exactly light it up. So, but the way they won, the ability to stop an opposing team, the versatility that they have, defensively, we mentioned a lot of names. How about West?
Yeah, Tyree West. Yeah, he had a nice sack early in the game as well.
He was another player that showed up. So they've got so many good players. I do think Peely on that defense made a big difference. He'd have made a difference, I think, on the defense last year.
Yes.
If he had not been hurt in the season opener and lost for the year. So I like what this team is able to do. And they still, to me, have the talent at the receiver positions. Now, they made a few big plays, in particular Dante Thornton with a 66-yarder.
Yes.
They had another almost
42.
I was going to say they had about a 50-yarder call back.
Yes,
on
yes,
the penalty,
okay.
But they did have a 42-yarder to McCoy.
Yes.
So, I just I really like this team a lot. And to go to Oklahoma and to win like that, to control the line of scrimmage the way they did, I thought it was just a very impressive win in a very hostile environment.
Well, I want to go back to you mentioning that you think because of the way that the defense has played, that they, at least on the defensive end, is a national championship caliber kind of team. Was there a play last night that kind of switched your thinking on that, or is it just the overall recognition and understanding of plays developing, understanding pressures, that overall just their IQ is what makes you think that, or was there an explosive play that you really liked?
Well, it was overall what they did, and to shut Oklahoma down. If I had to pick a moment or two, I would say McCoy's interception.
Yes, that was nice.
And the safety that they got. But also the fact that when Tennessee fumbled on their own 5-yard line, they got a fumble back on the next play.
Yes, very next play.
And Oklahoma's trying to score late, quickly, and Tennessee's defense would not budge. Now, I know Oklahoma finally scored and missed a 2-point conversion, but the way the defense rose to the occasion at that point, that really impressed me about this unit. So I think Tennessee's defense will hold up against any offense they play this year. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to shut them down.
Sure.
But when I say hold up, the magic number for Heupel typically has been 30.
Yes.
If he scores 30 points, you know, he's going to win. Well, if he scores 30 against everybody this year, they may not lose.
Yeah, they might not. I want to kind of dive a little bit more into the defense. And I know and we mentioned that Jackson Arnold was benched in the first half for the freshman quarterback and J.J. Hawkins. That makes the offense look entirely different for Oklahoma once Hawkins got in the game. They're able to really kind of hold him off. But the freshman quarterback still was able to convert for 2 touchdowns against the Tennessee defense. So that 19-quarter streak of no touchdowns against the defense ended. Was it more that they were playing prevent defense, or did you see something from Hawkins that could allude to a concern later on? Because he really was able to have explosive plays. He had really gutsy runs, had a couple down the middle, took the tackle, took the hit. Was there something that we saw from him that maybe Tennessee wasn't prepared for, or were they just trying to bend, not break?
I think it was more the bend but not break. I think they played a little bit soft in their coverage, and they were willing to give up some short underneath passes to run the clock.
Sure.
So they just were not going to give up a 50 or 60-yard touchdown pass or a big gain that would allow Oklahoma to score quickly, because Tennessee at that point was playing the clock as much as they were Oklahoma. So I thought it was funny when I heard the announcer say, well, this Hawkins brings in a lot of mobility. Jackson Arnold can run.
Yes, he can.
I mean, that was ridiculous.
He had been their leading rusher up until this point, pretty much,
So I think Tennessee got a little bit, we talked about there how they were conservative on offense. I think they got a little bit conservative on defense, in that they were playing softer coverage so they wouldn't give up any big plays to let Oklahoma get back in the game quickly. But it didn't really concern me too much. I know that streak of touchdowns is gone.
Yeah.
But the fact that you held Oklahoma without a touchdown for 3 quarters helped set you up for that victory.
Absolutely. A couple more points, and then we'll wrap this up. I do want to mention Dylan Sampson and Deshaun Bishop. Deshaun Bishop looked so good. Sometimes, these defenses are a little bit more tailor-made for one running back compared to another. We saw that a ton last year, where they really did have 3 true running backs at their disposal. Dylan Sampson struggled a little bit to get, downhill through the middle of the field, right, because he is a little bit of that undersized running back. But Deshaun Bishop seemed to have a bit more success in some of these scenarios, I guess you could call it, on the field. Of course, Dylan Sampson still gets the score, so he has 10 on the year. What did we like maybe from the versatility of those 2 running backs to try and find some success on the ground game?
What I liked, Sampson ended up with 92 yards.
Yeah.
It was the first time he didn't have 100 this year.
I know.
But they were hard earned. I mean, he did not have a lot of running room.
No, he didn't.
And a lot of times he was hit at the line of scrimmage and had to bang his way for 2 or 3 yards. I liked his toughness. I also like what I saw at Bishop. I thought Bishop ran with really good vision.
Yeah.
I thought he found some holes that
weren't really there.
yeah, and he had to bounce it here or there, but I thought he did a really nice job. Bishop continues to prove to me he's an SEC running back.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure, when you play teams, like Kent State.
How good are you really?
Yeah. UT Chattanooga. So, but Bishop continues to play well. I think he is a quality RB2.
Yeah,
now,
absolutely.
we still hadn't seen much of Cameron Seldon. We'll see if he can get out there. But I thought the backs ran hard. I didn't think they had a lot of room to run. There weren't a lot of holes that were evident against Oklahoma's defense. But again, Oklahoma's got a very stout defense, and I think one of the better defenses in the SEC. So even though the running numbers don't look great, and they don't,
right?
I still thought the running backs ran really hard and did a nice job at times moving the chains.
Yeah, so obviously they have a bye week. They'll get ready for Arkansas. What do you think maybe the message or the goal is of this next week before they do go back on the road? Because they're away from Neyland for about 3 weeks to a month at this point, considering last week with Oklahoma bye week and then Arkansas.
Well, party like it's 1998.
Oh, okay. Really setting the tone early in this one.
And then, they'll give them some time off. And I think the open date comes at a really good time.
Yeah.
In that you just had this emotional win for your head coach, emotional for the players, emotional for the coach. If you had to come back and play the next week at Arkansas, I think that would be tough. I think having a week off gives you an opportunity to regroup and then focus on an Arkansas team that's really dangerous. Now, they went on the road and they beat Auburn.
Yep.
It was a turnover fest there for a while.
Yes.
I think there were 3 consecutive
messy.
turnovers on 3 consecutive plays.
Yeah.
But they do have a quarterback that's dangerous. They got a really good running back. Their defense is playing pretty well. So that's not going to be an easy out going to Fayetteville. You have to focus. But I do think this Tennessee team will focus, and I do think the open date allows them to kind of push aside the fact that they just had a big emotional victory for their head coach.
Yeah, I think that also helps you kind of avoid like an emotional letdown,
yes.
would you? Yeah. All right, well, Tennessee stays in the win column, 4-0 on the year, 1-0 in SEC play after they get that win over Oklahoma. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we will be back later this week with more on the Tennessee football team.